Oh, it's so hard being a pro triathlete, man.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, this is totally unplanned, but let's go. Um, so I did a thing on Instagram where I just asked for some questions. So yeah, I guess we'll start with an easy one. Paris 2024 question mark. Yes. uh, what level is your Clash of Clans town hall? That would be level 8, except I rushed it so much. Who's your favourite triathlete? Well, that's a challenging one. To be honest, I've always been a big fan of Bloomy way before he got so big time. But yeah, probably Christian. What was the process to getting selected for Commies? Basically, there was a policy put out by Triathlon England, and you essentially had to hit like certain criteria, primarily performance based on results, and then it came down to like discretionary selection for the last two places. So that's how I ended up getting in. Right, how was your experience in the Commonwealth Games publicity wise? I would say, I think with it being a major games, obviously it's a huge global event, so for me, and I think probably every athlete competing, there's an awful lot of exposure. I think from a personal note, like, you know, being in the first event, like, you know, obviously there's not as many people racing a triathlon. Like, there was a decent amount of attention, which was really cool. And I think coming from the home nation as well, that was like quite a unique thing at that games. So yeah, like for me, I mean, yeah, I guess I gained a couple Instagram followers, but yeah, it was good on that part. Right. Definitely not answering that one. Hardest part of a triathlon. I would say that probably either the swim start, like the initial bit where it's like basically full on, and then the bit where you like kind of settle into a more threshold intensity. That's like normally that's pretty tough because you're also fighting others for position. Either that or probably in the Olympic distance, the back half is pretty flippin' solid. Do I plan on doing triathlon as a career path? If not, what is your career path? Well, I think me leaving school and doing it full time is probably the answer to that one. But yeah, like it's always been the plan since I was young to do triathlon. I don't think I've necessarily done anything different. You know, like I'm still doing triathlon just like I have for 10 years. It's just now that I get to do it all day, which is kind of cool. What type of training method do you use? 80-20, etc., etc. I think with my training method, my coach is Ryan Bolton. So he primarily works in long distance, but used to be a short course athlete himself, and went to the Olympics. I think, like, you know, Ryan's a big fan of kind of Arthur Lydiard style work. Obviously he was a running coach, but I think it's more a case of like, you know, really building a foundation, and then on top of that foundation putting in the necessary tools to race in the short course. So it's, I wouldn't say it's super scientific like a Norwegian method, but it's probably not as polarized as the typical kind of you know, British systems. Like there's a lot more base building and it's heavily periodized, which I really enjoy. That's quite an interesting one. How do you decide if you're fatigued or just being lazy when it comes to training? Well, I guess that's it's going to be personal preference. I mean, for me, like, you know, I use a lot of like, you know, I use the heart rate monitor, the power meter, etc. on the bike. I think really as you get older, you kind of understand when you're fatigued, and then, you know, things like that. But I think like I kind of just know if I'm being lazy. Whereas with fatigue, like if I go out on the bike and I'm pushing like, I don't know, like 50 watts or something, I'm like, bloody hell, this is this is a rough day. Yeah, it might be a bit more than that, but yeah, then you can probably tell that it's signs of fatigue. But I think it's really important just to know from a personal aspect, like, you know, when you are fatigued, because I think generally, as a rule of thumb in triathlon, you're probably always going to be tired. And I think it starts to become a difference between like being tired and then being like really fatigued. So just understanding the differences between that. Right. Yeah, thanks for kind of tuning in today. That's kind of all I have time for questions wise. I think we'll probably do a separate video for the other questions because there was some really, really good questions, and certainly like, you know, I want to get around to answering some of them because yeah, as I said in the first video, this channel, I want it to kind of to help others as well as kind of show my journey. So yeah, I'll be keen to answer some of them in the future. But yeah, thank you very much.